Okay, so if you look at the title card, you may notice this is a kinda dark tune. The reason this is different is because I got behind on work this week, so I wasn't able to do a traditional Dark Tunes episode. But I decided to review Hazbin Hotel. I saw this a while ago, and people, even though I said on like streams and stuff like that, a lot of people have been wondering what I think about it. And I was saying to myself, it's kind of a dark tune. I mean, there's a lot of exceptions with it, being obviously for not for kids, and be more modern and stuff like that. But I figured talk about, because there was a lot to talk about. So this is honestly just sort of a straightforward review. It's not as much a dark tune episode. That's why I try to emphasize it's a kinda dark tune. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with this, and a lot of people have been asking. So this is kind of me making up for not having an episode this week. So this is just a fast thought on what I think of the pilot, where I think it can go, and all the fun stuff involved with that. So God, I was going to say maybe the two of you that don't know. I mean, God, it's at 40 million views right now, and this came out like last October. So clearly this is already a hit. But the plot, for anyone that doesn't know, the daughter of the devil in hell has put together this hotel to rehabilitate people, to make it so that they're no longer bad, to help them out, almost like an addiction place, like their addiction to evil. And obviously this doesn't go over that well with the people of hell, but as time goes on, she gets someone called Radio Demon who wants to help the place out, though it looks like he has his own diabolical means. There's other side characters and, staff that, of course, are all very crazy, goofy characters, and they're all going to interact off each other. And there's also we'll get more into this, but there's kind of a weird war going on, like a turf war over different parts of hell, which is kind of like a side story. So, and on top of that, it's a musical. There's songs in it too. So that's the initial setup, and the main character is very bubbly, very happy, just someone that clearly doesn't belong in a place like this, but maybe that's why she should be in a place like this, as maybe we'll discover more. But so the initial thoughts that I have, Cliff Note version, as I usually say at the beginning of these, I really like it. I thought it was wildly imaginative. I thought it looked fantastic. I mean, it's just visually, there's so much you can take in. I think it's a clever premise. I think the idea of anyone in hell wanting to help people out, I think is a funny idea, but the fact that it's the daughter of the devil, I think is very funny. I also really like you don't see the devil in this. Usually in stories like this, you would see, him there, especially if it's like related to the main character, but they don't, which I like. Maybe they're saving that. But there's kind of two ways to come at this. One is looking at as what it says it is, a pilot. Another is as its own self-contained entity, even though it's saying it's, part one of, hopefully a series. As of now, no part two has been announced. I'll make it very clear, I don't know much about the background of this pilot. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to do just a traditional Dark Toons episode, because I feel like the research on this is kind of like its own other level, because I think it got like, through Patreon, through like years and years of development, and people like all across the internet apparently animated this, and it shows. I mean, like the effort that's put into this, it's very, very clear. And apparently it's paying off. Like I said, it's at 40 million views. I mean, that's crazy. But just taking it as it is, the first thing that really hits me watching it is that I really like it as a pilot. I want to see more of this. It seems like there's a lot of possibilities. The people that come into the hotel, you can switch it up. You can have different types of problems and different types of evils and categories that they fall into. The staff, I mean, we only really get the staff at the end of the episode, but they're very unique, fleshed out characters. It'll be great to see them interact off each other. Problems with the hotel, stuff like plumbing and cooking and room service and, dealing with the patients. All of this stuff is great possibilities just on its own, but having it in hell just adds a whole other dimension. It reminds me of the show Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, which is kind of a similar idea. It's like a sort of an office-style show, but it takes place in hell. But it isn't just The Office and they have a fiery background. Like, they legit make you know it's in hell. They're all devils. They all travel to Earth. They all try to get away with schemes that you would think hell would try to get away with. So that's what I like about it, is that there's definitely this this environment and this identity that clearly has a lot of callbacks to a lot of things that, you know, you would recognize. You know, I mean, you get like Ren and Stimpy animation in there, you know, sort of SpongeBob and Powerpuff Girls and stuff. It's very modern internet animation, I would say, kind of TV animation too, but this is very clearly from the internet, and I mean that as a good thing. It's very, very much the style that you would see on, say, DeviantArt. I know I make fun of DeviantArt all the time, but there's a lot of great art on DeviantArt. There really is. There's just spectacular art on there. And if you go to YouTube animations and stuff, I mean, you see like people do animations for like Game Grumps videos and stuff like that. It's kind of that style too, but it's funny because where those influences came from, you know, is clearly stuff these animators have grown up with, like SpongeBob and Ren and Stimpy and so forth. There's also a big lean, whether they're aware of it or not, with Ralph Bakshi animation, especially sort of the psychotic tone and sort of the you shouldn't say that environment. I mean, it is in hell, which is funny. In some way, I like to see that explored even more. You know, I was just watching some old Ralph Bakshi stuff, and man, just his old films, they say and do stuff you just could not get away with today. And I feel like this one is tapping on that. You know, it is hell, so that's not surprising. But I think the environment it creates and sort of this psychotic language, and I don't mean like what they're saying is crazy, I mean they're literally using like psychotic violence to communicate half the time, I think can really be explored more. This is kind of what I thought Cool World was gonna be when I first saw the trailer, because the trailer to Cool World is great, the movie is not. I do a whole review on it, you can check it out, but the world that I thought we were gonna get is this world and this plot and this environment and these characters. And I think there's a lot that, because there's good characters that keep it anchored. You know, the main character is very likable, very cheerful. It clearly doesn't fit in this, you know, very mean-spirited world that is hell. But because she wants to help, she has a motivation that everybody can kind of get behind and respect and understand. She also likes to sing. I mean, she's like, I don't know, like a theater performer or something. She loves to break out into song, and other characters do too. I think that also adds kind of this very playful level that, again, I feel like you see in a lot of internet animations right now, like animated YouTube videos and such. But I've yet to see one like this long and to this grand a scale. And I think it very much shows that it can work. But with that said, this also took years and years of putting together. This is people across the internet just doing what they want. I mean, I know there was like a lot of people worked on this, that there was a lot of direction, there was a lot, you know, I'm sure they had to keep a lot of this anchored, and they had to say no to a lot of ideas, but they clearly said yes to a lot of ideas too. And I feel like what they said yes to is stuff that's still tied into creating an environment, this hostile environment, but also this very engaging environment. And I think for one episode like this, you know, taking this long, that's fantastic. I think one of the reasons, I shouldn't speculate, and I guess technically I'm not, but I think one of the reasons could be that this did take so long. It is people on the internet, and shows take a while to make, and they're usually on a time crunch. They have to meet deadlines, man. I mean, they have to get it out by certain dates, where this one, it's like, you know, it's like the Sistine, anyone's ever seen Agony and Ecstasy, shouting to Michelangelo, when will it be done? When I'm finished! You know, it's the same thing, just when it's finished, it'll be done. Like a lot of internet projects, animations, and stuff like that. So I feel like because there's, again, that can be a blessing and a curse, because to make this be a show, if that's still what they're interested in, maybe they're just done. Maybe it's like they're fine just with this, which, I mean, I'd almost kind of be fine with. I mean, it's a very good pilot. If they want to keep it going, they're gonna have to cut corners around certain avenues, I feel like, because there's going to be more people control, more financing involved, and, it's going to take more time. There's going to be more problems that arise, and there's going to be deadlines you have to meet, even with shows like Rick and Morty, that constantly go on, hiatus, and, and they look great. That's still a wonderful show. I feel like for something this ambitious, if it is to be turned into a show, it'd either be very few episodes, or they'd have to cut some corners. They'd have to cut down on either the motion of the characters or how much detail is in the background. With that said, there is so much detail in the background and the characters. Everybody just has this unique design. I think there's a light in one scene that's, before they go on this newscast, and there's an Eye of Sauron in there. What a little detail. And there's just so much detail like that. The design of the show. Look at everything in my room. I'm going to love the design of this show. This is totally up my alley. And with that said, I feel like the side story I was talking about before is sort of the turf war battle going on, the cleansing, which is not made very clear exactly how it works. I think even the rules of hell aren't exactly set in stone, but I think that's kind of a good thing. It creates kind of flexible reality. So that's great for a pilot. For something that's on its own, if this is all we get and we never get anything else from Hazbin Hotel, it's a little distracting and doesn't make a ton of sense. I think it adds a lot to the psychotic atmosphere that there always has to be yelling, exploding, violence, somebody doing something really crazy or saying a crazy line or getting really close to the camera, doing something really nutty like that, which I love, but it doesn't really tie into much. That's something that can be explored in further episodes. So I think it's good in setting, like I said, this environment and this atmosphere, but in a standalone project, if that's what this turns out to be, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I think it's something that can be explored in future episodes. If they did plan future episodes, that'd probably be a better thing to bring in episode 2. But I also feel like it adds a lot of, again, that strange environment, that uncomfortable energy that's constantly trying to threaten you, in a sense. So it's funny. With that said, if this ever did become a show, I'm trying to say how to say it. I feel like this is a show that could very easily, so every fan base gets some part that's gonna take it too seriously. We've seen this in every fan base. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Every fan base has some section that's gonna take something too seriously, or all of it, and it's what size will it be? I can easily see this being one of those shows that gets a decent size of that, and I think one of the difficulties might be if it does take a long time to get a show going, if they still plan to do a show. Because there's other things on the channel that, if I'm right, don't have anything to do with Hazbin Hotel. It looks like they may be moving on to other projects. So again, I'm sorry I don't know a ton about what's in store for it or the making of it or anything, but I can see the longer they wait, the more people kind of re-watching this and loving every part of it, and then whatever, years later when episode 2 comes out, everyone being like, well, that's not what I imagined, that's not what I wanted, that's, not what I was looking for, because it becomes so fixated on the one thing they've seen. So it is something where I feel like if there is going to be more, there's two options in my opinion. Either you make a show and you have to cut back on stuff because you have to get a schedule going so people don't become too fixated on the one project that you have, the one episode that you have, where even if you make an episode 2 and it's what you always want to do, well, everybody's seen that first episode a million times, so they know how it's supposed to work, and they don't want you to try new things, so it's you always run that danger, and that's always going to be there no matter what. So I think you either have to do that, or you have to, in my opinion, just make it maybe a trilogy, or maybe 5 episodes, and I'm sure they'll each take a very, very long time, but you can tell kind of a beginning, middle, and end. Because this very clearly ends with sort of that they're building up more. More is coming. You're gonna see people that come into the hotel. You're gonna see the staff interact off each other, which is great. There's a lot of possibilities, and honestly, I think, like they say, you have to kind of pick your sacrifices. I think if you want a lot of episodes, you're gonna most likely have to cut some corners, because there's just, as everybody that made this knows, animation takes a lot of time, especially if you want it to look really, really good. But I also feel like if they're like, no, we don't want to sacrifice our ideas and what we want the show to look like and everything, then I think you just gotta shorten the amount of shows, because I don't know how many they have planned. Like I said, I don't know entirely the background of it. I'm just going off of only what I've seen and only the little bit I've heard about it. But I think there's a ton of possibilities for it. I think there's a lot of things to like about it. I think the characters are very unique, very charming, very energized. With that said, I can easily see somebody watching this and saying, well, it's a little too in your face, a little too much energy, a little, I don't know if I say too mean-spirited. I'm sure somebody out there thinks it's too mean-spirited. I show about hell, but I'm sure they're out there. So I feel like if you go in knowing what the initial idea is, that it's a animated show made by, animators online, that takes place in hell, that has songs in it about a bubbly, character who wants to make people in hell feel better while there's turf wars going on. I mean, I feel like you're going to know whether or not you're going to get into this or not, or if you're going to want to see more, which, I mean, sounds like a lot of people are. I mean, this is clearly a huge hit. And what's nice about it is wherever it goes, whether it makes a lot of episodes or makes few episodes, or even if nothing else ever comes of it, maybe they're just like, man, we're done. That kicked our asses. But we got a good project, and let's just call it here, and everybody else can write their own fan fiction or fill out whatever they want to happen to these characters. I think that'd be fine too. It's a good enough project that I feel it might be good enough just to stop and let other people take over, whether they want to write fan fiction, whether they want to do, their own fan animations or whatever. Like, it feels very prime for that. Like, this could maybe be one of those, I was gonna say few, but I don't know. I don't read a lot of fan fiction or anything, but maybe one of those few shows where they just have one episode and then, like, the internet takes over the rest. Like, what version do you like? It's like the Star Wars books. Like, well, which version of the different universes do you like? Or spin-off shows and movies and stuff. So I think that'd be interesting. Or even like Batman or DC, like they do all those spin-off animated movies and stuff like that. Maybe it could be like that. So I don't know what's in store for it, but I think there's clearly enough to be explored here. It's a really good starting ground, and even if it doesn't pick up, if it doesn't go anywhere, I think what they have is super creative. I feel like this, if you ever just not feeling like in a creative mood, you can't get the creative juices going or whatever, just watch this, because there's stuff in the background, there's stuff in the foreground, there's the type of characters they're using, there's the sound, like even the radio demon has like this great radio sound that's very unique. The designs of everybody and all the buildings and everything are just like so wonderful and so creative, and you can tell so much time went into them. Even like the angles, there's one shot where I think they're entering the hotel, and it's like this dramatic lighting from the door, and the door is very bright, and they're silhouetted, but like, the X's on their eyes are glowing or whatever, and it's like, you didn't need that. I mean, that doesn't really suggest anything to the story or anything, but it just adds to the environment. It adds to the insanity of this world they've created and the style of the show. So yeah, initially I think it's a really good pilot. I would love to see more, but even if they don't do it, I still really enjoy it. I think there's enough creativity in this where if they stopped, I'd be like, I'm good. Some of it, obviously it's a shame not to see it explored more from these people and this creative team, which I definitely like to see, but it's good enough where if that's where it stops, I'd be like, I'm fine. Like, I got my fill. I got my fill of creativity and energy and song and color and design. All the stuff I really love in dark animation like this. So I say check it out. You probably have, like I said, 40 million as I'm reviewing this. I'm sure it's going to get even more just after I film this. So I really dig it. I really think there's a lot that can be done with it. So what do you guys think? I mean, obviously, it's a lot of people love it, but if there's something that maybe you didn't like, or you think something I missed that's even better than what I was talking about, because I definitely really enjoyed it. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Even if you have, check it out again. So, you know, I watched it twice for this review, and I was just like, yeah, man, there's just so much to appreciate in the look and style, but also just a creative story and characters that you like. Yeah, I really dug it. So let me know what you think as well. So that's about it. Again, I'm sorry I couldn't do a traditional Dark Toons this week. I'll try to get back to them as normal. I just got behind on work this week, so sorry about that. But yeah, let me know what you thought of Hazbin Hotel. Do you want to see more? What direction do you think it should go in, or would like to see it go in? Do you think it's fine the way it is and should just stop? What are your thoughts, man? I'd love to know. And that's about it. I'll see you next time. Take care.